Everybody got their vuvuzelas?
See?
I don't have one.
Welcome to Dragon's Teacast, Second Infusion. So last time we talked about 2 episodes of My Hero Academia, so today will only be Dragon Ball Super and that Game of Thrones episode, which we're going to have a lot to say about that. But first, let's knock Super out of the way. Nick?
I liked it.
Cool story, bro. John?
I think that the Team 4-Star parody between Goku and Vegeta settling their differences with Whis, where it's just you and Hit. What you have is what we used to have. Like, every episode that they're in together, I feel worse and worse for Vegeta just because of that parody. Because even the announcer's like, one Hit and Goku made the ultimate tag team. I'm like, that's what they used to... Vegeta and Goku used to be. But it was fun to see them tag team. I wish it was against people that mattered more. The speed from the Rat Cat guy was pretty fun.
Yeah, I think if they had a little more introduction rather than none, it would have been better. But yeah, it was interesting. Maybe it was nice that they came out of nowhere, because it was like, oh, this guy who, like, nobody has ever heard of just came and, like, actually dealt this invincible super guy a blow. And then everyone freaked out about it.
Yeah. The pacing of the fight was really well done, considering the circumstance, because it really seemed like Hit was on his back foot,
Yeah.
And it was obviously just a clever ploy, and he beat him with the phasing out technique, which I knew it was going to come in, but I was surprised when it actually happened. Like, oh, yeah, there you go. That's the way to use it. And then he was saved, and it's like, oh, well, so now that surprise is off the table. No one's going to try that again that was watching. And, yeah, it seemed like after that point, the tag team was just like, okay, how are they going to get eliminated? It wasn't anymore like, okay, they're a super threat, this is interesting. Goku just charging through the minefields, like,
yeah,
nah, screw your logic.
And also,
awesome.
he kind of just came in for kind of no reason in Super Saiyan God form, which...
It was nice to see that in the show again.
It was. I kind of wonder why he's never used that. I thought it was...
ritualistic?
Like he wasn't able to or something.
That's kind of what they implied in the beginning, but it's kind of weird. That's not how the manga went. The anime is the one who's like, oh, you lost the thing, but it's somehow inside you still. In the manga, it was more like, okay, I'm just tired. So, yeah. And so far, there's been no reason to use it, because he fought people like, Zamasu and Gowasu, and not Gowasu, Zamasu and Goku Black, and he fought Hit, which you couldn't really hold back. Though in the manga, he fought Hit in Super Saiyan God form. He didn't need to go blue.
Where's the manga compared to the show?
Crap, I'm like a few chapters behind.
Is it caught up?
No, they should have finished up Zamasu by now, so...
So the show's ahead?
Yes, the show is ahead.
Weird.
So, because he reads the manga, I knew that Vegeta... he was using this technique that Goku was using this episode, where he went God and then went blue to attack. That's pretty ingenuous.
Yeah. Ingenuous.
Yeah.
Bless you.
But I kind of like the idea that, like in the manga they'll probably do that, but I like Goku learning that from Vegeta, because that's a Vegeta thing. That's a little bit too thought-heavy for Goku, I think. Goku is just like, I'm going to push the limits of this beyond anything anyone expects.
Goku's I'm going to rush through a minefield.
Yeah, that's exactly. Whereas Vegeta's just like, if I time this mine correctly, I can create a chain a chain of events which blows up the person or opens up the thing on the left. And so anyways, this is really complicated for Goku.
Also, Goku's kind of an instinctive fighter.
Exactly, but and that changing last second is sort of counterintuitive. Mm-hmm. It seems like you'd be better off with the power to block and the power to punch. And
Yeah.
it's a Vegeta. I like that he used it. Don't get me wrong, but I would have liked him to have seen Vegeta do it and be like, "Oh, Vegeta, that's amazing!" And then does it better than him or something,
Uh-huh.
I also think it would have been more fun if it was Vegeta instead of Goku that did a double team. Because we haven't seen or even thought about Vegeta and Hit teaming up.
That's true.
And they probably would have had some fun interactions.
It'd be kind of an odd pairing, though, since they've never really had anything together before.
We're setting up Game of Thrones so well because this is sort of a writing thing. Because the reason Goku shows up is the reason that Vegeta would not have shown up. Vegeta would have been like, "Good, now I know their tricks," and then they got rid of Hit. Goku's just like, "Herderp, my body's itching for fights."
Or Vegeta would have been like, "No, I gotta beat Hit because he beat me before."
So that would have required what I'm saying is the reasoning for Goku showing up was Goku.
Yeah.
That was not something that would have been good for Vegeta. And Vegeta, as of late in Super, he really has. Well, actually, I would say after the Majin Buu saga, he has a grander scheme of things. Like, he did that ridiculous dance to appease the higher forces. He's still very prideful, but there's a bigger picture. And so if they would have gotten rid of Hit, so be it. And then he would beat the person who beat Hit because he was below me anyways. I like there was not a higher purpose you could really get from like stopping the opponents from defeating someone strong, other than like, I'm itching for a fight. Let's do it.
It was interesting to see Topo kind of give up justice.
Yeah.
That's going to be interesting.
What did he say when he...
Topo said something along the lines of, "No more of this justice crap. Now it's either survive or get erased."
That is pretty interesting.
Because that's been their entire thing since the beginning.
Yeah, and how's that working for you?
And even when they knew that that the universes were at stake, he was like, "Goku, you're the reason for this. I'm going to show you my justice." And then they kind of had like the exhibition match.
This kind of harkens to what I was saying last week, with a bad enough day, anybody can become a villain. Like, you sort of have that crash. And, I hope that... this is a weird thing to hope for. I hope that he does something despicable enough to, like, really just make you go, wow,
Our life, you can't use Justice Flash anymore.
Yeah! He just can't do it anymore. How to say this? I want them to make the point of, you can't rely on, things that you thought up last year or the decade before as justice, Like, it's not a static thing. It's something that you need to embody with your core of your being. And,
like,
sometimes...
just because you say it's justice doesn't mean it is?
Pretty much. And I want to see them... Because Topo is just like, this is justice. And it's sort of... They've hinted at his universe like it's prosperous. But have either of you guys seen... Oh, God, this is Batman again. There's an alternate universe where Batman basically... He helps make, like, a totalitarian regime.
Is this the one where the Joker's the good guy?
I don't think so. I don't think the Joker shows up. But anyway, it's Batman of our verse versus, and he meets the Batman of that verse, and they're like evenly paired. And
so it's Batman versus Batman.
Yeah, and so Batman goes, and they're sort of arguing their philosophy, and the Batman from that verse goes, "I'm doing this so that no child will have to live through their parents being gunned down in the street." And our Batman goes, "I get you. All right, you're right." And then they sort of like drive, they sort of take his
I'll join you.
Yeah, he does. And they sort of take their Batmobile and they drive around the city, and this one guy is at a restaurant and he's just like, "This food's terrible. Oh my gosh, I'm not going to tip you." And the police come and just take him away because he's making a fuss. He's like, "No, I mean, I'm sorry. I was having a bad day. I'll tip you. I'll pay for the food. I'll pay for everyone's food." And they just whisk him away. And then, that's sort of a turning point because our Batmans were like, "Mom and Dad would be so proud." So anyways, my whole point is that, they've sort of hinted at the Universe 11 being that way. It's sort of this totalitarian, these guys will take care of the problems when there's problems, and everything for the collective harmony, as opposed to, no, this is the right thing to do. I feel this way. It's more of that intellectual justice. and we're going to call it justice, and it's going to be flashy as opposed to meaningful. So I hope that they will show something, that just, it'll be one of those dumb things where he's talking about Goku and like, no, I realize this is true justice, like Joker, or some sort of like villain. And Goku's like, I don't get what you mean, but I'm gonna fight you anyway. Just know.
I'm trying to think of what they could do in this scenario to make him like the big bads. What they could do is show they're not messing around by, like, let's say, taking out one of Piccolo's arms. Because he'll grow it back anyway.
Mm-hmm.
But they were like, you can't fight back with one arm. And, like, kick him out or something like that. Something to, like, show them, like, okay, these guys
underhanded?
Yeah, because they can't kill, but they can maim. So, maybe take out one Tien's eyes, I don't know.
What would his depth perception be like if they took out, like, his right eye and he had his top eye and left eye?
Depth perception now.
Incredible.
I guess. It's 3-dimensional.
Yeah.
And from the last episode, I thought of what I want my dream match to be in this saga. Kale versus Golden Frieza. I think that would be fun. Just Kale,
Yeah, it would.
Kale going just all berserk and Golden Frieza just being like, I'm sick of these monkeys!
That's racist. Yeah, that would be great because both of them are powers to be contended. I think Kale's sheer power, is beyond Golden Frieza's. But Frieza's just brilliant,
Mm-hmm.
Oh, man.
Hits versus Golden
and
Frieza.
Frieza's sick of Saiyans. Ruining everything.
Now that I think about it, I want to see Hit versus Golden Frieza because I'm sick of Frieza only fighting Saiyans.
I get the feeling it's going to come down to Hit and Goku at some point.
That's like the final two?
No.
Okay.
But I think one of... It's going to come down to them eliminating one or the other.
I don't think so. I think to showcase how powerful one of the... I'm pretty sure it's going to be Hit who's going to job to Jiren. And Jiren, the alien dude, is going to basically, like, not give a shit.
They're all aliens.
The one who looks like
one
our...
who looks like
Yeah,
an
the
alien.
gray.
Yeah, the one who actually looks like
the alien who looks like it.
Yes. Like, from what we can gather, it seems like Jiren's perception is just beyond anything. So what I think might happen is Hit will try to do a time skip, but that even like millisecond of when he goes out of it, Jiren will still be able to block it type of thing. And he'll just like smack him out, and Goku's gonna be like, I'm gonna transform. Because we all know it's coming.
Yeah. I'm surprised that Zeno-sama couldn't keep up with the action of the fight.
Yeah.
The all-powerful
Yeah, you're
being.
right.
I think I like the way somebody put it online, was that he is not a fighter like the rest. He is a mage, kind of like Babidi.
Yeah, no, I
Weird.
get that. But he's all-powerful, so meaning that if he says anything, it just exists, right? Or doesn't exist.
I'm not sure what he exists. It doesn't exist. You gotta do the whole hand thing. I'm guessing he'll still take a lot of damage if someone punches him in the face, though. That's probably why he's got the guards. Otherwise, why the hell would he need them?
Fun. So they can update his god tube.
He is kind of naive.
He's very naive. But my whole point is, like, if he wants to see it, maybe that was just his way of creating it in the universe. Like, he doesn't want the illusion that he can just do whatever he wants to, so, he just, the angel guy is just like, oh, I updated your tablet, I don't know. I'd have to go too deep into the explanation of that one, so, yeah, overall, I guess it was a pretty satisfying episode.
Yeah.
I wouldn't say it was overly
better
meaningful.
than the last one.
It really was just tone setting, I think, because I really didn't learn anything new that really was of substance.
Welcome to Dragon Ball.
Yeah. Well, I mean, I didn't learn...
The fact that we've had so many conversations about each individual episode so far really says something about about Super, because you couldn't really do that about DBZ.
Yeah. Would have been, nearly impossible.
Goku charged up this week. What do you think he's gonna do when he finishes charging?
Be strong. Yeah, I think that's all I can say about Super.
Yep. And now we can move on to that episode of Game of Thrones.
So, I've always seen these videos of people screaming at TVs.
Mm-hmm.
This is the first time I've actually done it.
Mm-hmm. Just because of all of the bad writing at the end. In the beginning, it was fantastic.
You know, it's not even that. It's just... Well, that's true, but it was just like... it did a good job of at least getting you into it.
Mm-hmm.
If nothing else.
From what it looked like they had an idea of how they wanted things to go, but didn't know how to make it happen. So they just said, fuck it. Let's just do it.
We'll stitch it together afterwards.
Yeah.
The thing that they said about, all parts of the Emoji Movie.
Well, yeah, exactly. And that's actually a good way to say it. The ends justify the means. That's where they started. And it was just, a couple of those scenes were just bad. Let's start with the less aggressors. My lesser offenders. One of the scenes that this was icing on the top at this point. But, Daenerys has her dragon. She makes it there in unbelievable time.
She's flying on dragons.
Yeah, so then, they're back at the wall. She flies them to the wall, and then they stay there for some reason. So that they can be on their voyage.
She was waiting for Jon.
Well, that's the point. Like, he's dead. They saw him come down, and one. They do what they wanted was the scene where she's just like, oh, just a little bit longer. No, we have to go. And then she turns away, and then... you could call it just, by time. That's when he comes in,
Right.
Heroically riding in. And it was exactly that scene.
Heroically, huh?
Yeah. And it was, they made that scene to the T, and, it's been done a billion times before. Good job, not original. Okay. Problems. One, first of all, why does he care if they stay there an extra 10 minutes? Two, if she's just doing nothing, why didn't she ride her dragon back? Like, for a while. Why is she just going to wait at the wall while he's potentially... Like, if she thinks he's alive, I can understand her not going completely all the way back to the battlefield, but why not ride around the outskirts for a little while?
Okay, yeah.
There's no reason for her to stay there or just leave. There's a third option, and there's a third obvious option.
Because... she doesn't want to get the dragon lance.
That's what I mean. That's why you don't have to go back to the area. You can, if you are just hoping he's going to ride back randomly or walk back.
They're all on the march.
Huh?
They're all on the march.
Right. She can see him a lot way before they're within lancing distance from the sky. And so either Jon's going to be alone, in which case he'll be kind of hard to spot, but it's still possible. He's going to be freezing to death. Or he's going to be being chased by a horde, and in that case, you have to act anyways. Do you really want him to lead the horde to the wall?
Right.
There's a million things. It was not a well written scene, but again, icing on the cake. There's other scenes before we get to the big one.
Oh God. Okay, everybody get on the dragon. Wait, I need to hit more cannon fodder with my sword.
Well, let's go to the big one.
That one's the big one?
Yeah. What's bigger than that? I was going to say the chain was a lesser offender. Where the fuck did they get that chain from?
2 of them, no less. No, 3 of them. Just laying around, I guess? Silly.
My best theory so far is that that's another one of the Night King's power.
Just makes them?
Just bullshits chains. Just in case.
Oh, boy.
For all we know, he's been sitting around for centuries just what else can I do? Bunnies? No. Chains? Oh, look at that.
It might be useful at some point. But yeah, just his whole, cannon fathered. Let's just keep hitting that with my sword.
Yeah, there was 4 guys even close to him. It wasn't like they were being swarmed, and I could see it if they were all the zombies were reaching up to grab the ankles of his friends, and trying to pull him down, and he's just barely managing to keep a hold on everything. He was 7 feet from the dragon, and within, like a 10-foot radius, there were maybe 4 dead guys.
Yeah.
Kick them at that point.
And then he just kept doing it. He kept moving away from the dragon.
Yeah, and they're like, John, get on. And he just sort of looks back. Nah.
Stupid. Like, they could have just done so many other things to make that scene happen, but they didn't. I don't know why. No bueno. Oh, what else was there? Oh, yeah, the whole concept of, hey, you know how those guys are the ultimate bosses we gotta kill? Aim the dragon over there. And nobody even...
Wait, which part?
He had a lance, and there were, at that point, as far as we could tell, 2 dragons that were within hitting distance.
Yeah.
One of them has everybody riding on it. The other one has nobody riding on it. It's like, that's my first target. The one with no rational objective.
The other
Okay. So you mean that he should have thrown the lance at the one on the ground?
The one that was easier to hit with people on it, where, like... They're the same size. They're the same distance from him. The only counterpoint I can make to that is that Daenerys is she can guide the dragon to miss it, but I mean that's sort of
yeah. And Jon Snow, the whole thing was not the only scenes with bad writing. Pretty much everything involving Sansa and Arya this episode was just gross. Like nobody felt good. Like, Arya just
it wasn't supposed to be a feel-good episode.
Well, no,
I wouldn't say that's due to bad writing.
I mean, like, they did not feel like their characters. Like, Arya was just... That whole bloodthirsty, I could cut your face thing really did not feel good. Like, it did not feel like Arya.
Right.
Sansa being so easily manipulated by Littlefinger, that did not feel right. Sending Brienne... and Podrick, and not just keeping one of them, or even just saying "fuck you" to the Queen.
Right? Yeah, she has this invitation from royalty, to come to Queen's Landing, and she's just like, "Well, I've got to send somebody."
No, they're trying to kill you. You're trying to kill them. Shit.
I mean, I can understand it as.
I'm gonna send my best warrior. I'm sure nothing bad is gonna happen.
Yeah, not even my best diplomat, my best warrior. Why didn't she send Littlefinger? He's too precious?
I don't know. They probably want to kill him.
Because he
sent the Vale in?
Yeah, because the soldiers are from the Vale would
but then
go with.
That still was
maybe,
the first question. Why is she inviting them to King's Landing?
Who?
The Starks. Like, they initiated that Battle of the Bastards. They were the ones who originally rode in on Winterfell.
I think they were kind of like... I think Cersei invited, like, all of the pseudo-royalty. Like, she invited Daenerys too. Okay, so Daenerys wanted to meet with her to show her the body of the zombie man. Right?
Mm-hmm.
I don't think... Did she invite her yet?
Well, she said, if you've got one, come and show me. And then, so I think Cersei was like, okay, all you fake royalty people come and let's have a council or something.
Yeah.
That's my guess. I don't know.
That reminds me of some of the good writing that was in the episode.
Mm-hmm.
Do we have any more bad scenes to get to? Because I will agree with the Sansa Arya, especially the showdown. I mean, Sansa has... what they showed for Arya is that she's sort of grappling and losing with her humanity a little bit, sort of, but it was not well directed. I think that... well, what's the actress's name? Doesn't matter. I think that she did a good job with the scene, with what she was given. She was steely. She was, I'm going to choose anger and go through with this. I'm confident. I'm capable. Fuck off. But in terms of direction, like, why is she threatening Sansa? Like, and why does she give her the knife?
And,
like,
Well, presumably because she trusts her. But
then why?
Then she should have. She shouldn't have turned it up to 11 and then down to 3. You know what I mean?
Exactly. She should have opened up if she trusts her.
Right.
You know, like it's just, you know, the escalation is needless. They're not really getting anything from it. And it's not going anywhere. I think that's the big thing, you know, like escalated and then they sort of, okay, what now? Nothing.
Well,
why?
I like the conversation about the game of faces, and it's like the last person who
asked me
who told me a lie.
She didn't say that. She said the last person who played with me, it didn't go well for them. You know, it was very vague.
Well, because if you lie, you lose, and she takes your face. And the last person who played, it didn't go well for them.
That's not what the game is. You get hit with the stick. That's the stick game where she played it in the thing. Like she, you know.
Yeah, but she said to her, "If you lie, or if I catch you in a lie, then she takes your face." That's what she told her.
I don't think she said that.
No, she didn't say that. She said, what could I do with that face? I could do the pretty dresses and all this other stuff. Like she was saying I could, you know, I take people's faces and I could take yours. That'd be something. I'm going to ask you some questions now. I mean, I can get where you're making the association, but she never said anything like that. It was vague.
Well, it was implied then, maybe.
Yeah, but she didn't outright say, you know, maybe I'll take your face or anything.
Yeah,
like
or
that.
that's a consequence of the game.
She's definitely said, maybe I'll take your face.
Yeah, she's like, what can I do with that face? Sort of thing.
She's like, I wonder what it would be like to wear all those pretty clothes and have everyone fawn around me.
But it was more like a hypothetically, as opposed to I think I'm going to do this.
This conversation's a
and
good...
then she was like, so let's play this game.
Yeah, this conversation's a good indication of the lack of direction. Like, it's sort of like there's vagueness, and like Littlefinger uses it to sort of like, well, I didn't say that. You meant it. You meant that. You know, I know that you meant it. And this is just like, well, okay, what was the point? Like,
right?
What is your point? And you know, so that I do sort of classify as overall bad writing, good acting, bad writing. Any other examples of?
I think the first time Arya showed Sansa the note, I think that whole thing was kind of stupid. Like, Arya should have been able to figure out, yeah, they were going to kill her if she didn't write that. That's kind of not surprising from the Lannisters. She really overreacted to that shit.
That scene I took as she wanted, you know, so she's got this letter, and, you know, she's able to piece together really quickly, you know, this is kind of what led to her family's death. Rob was pretty quick. I think he even said, this is Sansa's handwriting, Cersei's words. Mm-hmm. Right? So it doesn't take a genius to figure that out. I think what Arya was doing was trying to figure out her motivations. And that's easier to do with a knife held to your throat than, you know, just like, so Sansa, what do you think?
Mm-hmm.
And Sansa's pretty balls deep in, breasts deep in Littlefinger's world. You know, where I really don't even know if she's keeping her end goals totally in mind. And I don't think that she's, you know, juggling things correctly. So she's sort of in a weird place right now. She's hard to read, and I think Arya was taking that opportunity to get a better read on her. So maybe that whole vague threat thing was a reaction to that, but it just, it's really wonky.
And I think that scene actually was well written because she was like, well, I wouldn't have, you know, I wouldn't have written this letter. You know, you can't use the excuse that I was. That you were just a kid.
It was.
You think? Are you going to stand in front of Lyanna Mormont? And
that was
say,
my favorite part.
I was just a kid. You know, I was when she's younger than you were then.
Yeah. Oh man, I fanboyed over that.
So yeah.
But
Mormont, 2020.
Aside from, you know, there were bad scenes, but also some really good writing as well.
Yeah, so before we get to the piece de la resistance, in my opinion, Littlefinger, fuck. The other small one, the dwarf man, Tyrion. His scene with Daenerys I really liked, where, you know, he's sort of where Daenerys is sort of teetering on edge. I won't say this is bad writing. I was annoyed when Daenerys did the whole teen girl, like, no, Jon Stark wouldn't like me. He's got work to do. And then she goes, like, she sort of teeters between personalities, which is realistic. It just annoyed me because I'm in team not incest.
Team incest!
Team Ice and Fire.
Yeah, so in my group of friends, there's me alone on team not incest, and everyone else is branded team incest. That is once Jon Snow. Oh yeah,
you've got
the silent person who said nothing.
Fire,
3.
2 not team incest, and 1 it's gonna happen anyway.
Who's this gonna happen anyway?
Charles.
Oh no, he wants it. He wants it.
No, he doesn't.
He branded.
They
Team
both
Ice and
want
Fire.
it.
He has accepted it reluctantly.
Yeah. Incest. This is rated PG.
Yeah. I've accepted it's probable, but I still do not want it to happen. So, and that's going to come into play very soon. But anyway, I liked that they showed that human side to Daenerys. I do. And I thought that it was well played. I was annoyed. But anyway, what follows that is great. She starts to be sort of like, you're sympathetic to your enemies, sort of like, oh, you have sympathies towards your family. And he's just like, I put myself in their position because that's what you have to do to strategize and win wars and win people. That's what you have to do. And I want you to do it because I believe in you. I mean, like, that was inspiring. I really liked that scene.
Yeah.
Peter Dinklage.
Yep.
Great job. So, and then...
And he also keeps telling her to pick an heir, which she refuses to do.
Yeah. I was kind of mildly surprised that went nowhere.
She can't have kids, except for the one exception, Jon Snow.
No.
I wasn't surprised that it went nowhere, but I was surprised that it came up when it did.
Mm-hmm.
And,
I think that was to set up the end. I think that was going to set up the end, which is where we're eventually going to get to. Oh, darn. I forgot the second scene. That was quite well written.
The scene on the boat.
No, that was I think that's the crown jewel of this episode. So I really think that the crowning jewel of this episode was the final scene between Daenerys and Jon, for this reason. For one, for those of you that weren't aware, she saw his wound on his heart. I've been waiting for that moment ever since, what's his face?
Davos,
botched up his introduction.
He's literally died. Shut up, Davos.
He's almost literally Jesus. Oh, man.
She saw that, and
he's the son of the Lord of Light.
It was perfect because of the intimacy of the setting. Like, there was that literal seeing of who he was, but then there was also, like, he just came back from death in this miraculous way. Like, he even had a horse, which he should have had to begin with. I really hate that they didn't have horses.
That reminds me of the other bad scene of...
Benjen?
Yeah, Benjen's kind of blind, like, I'm a plot point! Woo!
Yeah, go now. He's already dead, and they're like, tried to sort of make his death scene again sort of sad. I'm just like, well...
He was there for like 2 minutes. I don't care.
Not that the writers will listen to this, but Benjen should have showed up first and, wrote in because he's keeping an eye on the situation, and there's no reason for him to just wait along the sidelines until that moment.
Yeah.
And then Daenerys, but they did what they did, and that was a little bit wonky. But, so she just saw him, bravely, sometimes stupidly, fighting off zombies, to save his friends. He was the last... Most kings are the first ones on the horse, the first ones on the dragon because they're important. He's like, no, everyone else get on. I got you. And, to the point of obsession, like, there's one that could maybe make it to the dragon in a minute or so and bite at their ankles or something.
Oh, that guy's 20 feet away.
Yeah, but he's not going to cause problems for you.
I better go charge in against him and then run back.
Yeah, so she saw his self-sacrificing. She saw, the whole horde of the dead that he was trying to warn her about, and keeping his composure mostly while warning her about it. Like, you could see in her eyes when she was talking about it, like, oh my god, I couldn't until I saw it. You have to see this. Like, you can't understand the horror. And John's like, I know. And so she just saw all of that. That's in the back burner, sort of brewing. You know, she sees him wake up, you know, in this sort of frail state, but he has this sort of, like, composure about him, even though he just went through all of this. Even though, you know, she basically has to kind of apologize for, like, yeah, sorry, I didn't take you seriously. He's just like, I get it. I really do. And the most masterful use of the language in the episode was they have almost everything be a double entente when he's just like, my queen. Or first, you know, it's like Danny, and she's like, no, you don't want to be like my brother. Fuck the incest.
Yeah.
And then he's like, all right, well, how about my queen? I'd bend the knee if I could, but oh well. This, I realized, was, you know, bend the knee, propose. Like, it could be bend the knee, swear fealty, which is what you're supposed to hear, but I think what Danny hears is, you know, more. And this is after she just told him that she's barren, she can't have children. That's a big deal for, you know, royalty. And John hears this, and, you know, just, I'm not even sure if he meant it as a proposal, but if you look at the words, watch it again, it reads as a perfect proposal. And, you know, there's this, and I hate it because I'm not on Team Incest, but there was such a cute hand-holding scene, and they played it up so well, and it really was heartwarming. This was, with all of the other, you know, problems with writing aside, this was the crown jewel of this episode, maybe the season so far. Because there wasn't any crazy special effects in it. It was just an intimate scene, well supported through the rest of the writing, well set up. So many things came together right then and there.
You know what I liked, which I want to see a sitcom out of? The Hound and the redhead wildlife.
Yeah. Oh, that was the true crowning. Dick, cock. I like it. I bet you do. The redhead's got, I just want him to talk to people. I want him to have like his own like interview show. Like, man, how do you not freeze? Walking's good. Fighting's better. Fucking's best. There's no girls up here. We'll have to make do. If his balls hadn't shriveled up before that, all of a sudden...
And like, I have a lovely waiting for me back home. The one who looks like she can cut out your liver? You do know her.
She says, I can tell by the way she looks at me. Like... Oh man, he was fantastic, and I freaked out. That was another piece of good like meta writing, because you can pretty much guess if someone doesn't have a whole lot of scene time, like a screen time, and all of a sudden they get a whole bunch of screen time, they're gonna die.
The Walking Dead syndrome.
Walking Dead syndrome. And all of these guys got almost unnecessary screen time in this longest episode of Game of Thrones history. And I would have called that unnecessary, except they set him up and the other ones up to die, and there were so many close calls, I was just like, they might actually do it!
And nobody died.
Yeah, and they were fine.
Yeah.
You know, a little beat up, but...
Well, the white mage died.
Oh yeah. He did.
Yeah. So no one else can be brought back.
Yeah, that was... a surprise. I didn't see that coming. And it got far more real once he did die. You know, I wasn't going to rely on him anyways. You know, part of me felt like it was a cop-out whenever he did bring someone back, besides the one guy.
Yeah.
But, yeah, that was real when he's talking about the Lord of Light brought us back. Do you think he wanted us to just freeze to death? Let's go take out the Night King. I'm like, there's no way they're going to take out... Can they take out the Night King? Are they actually going to do this? Shoot, the zombies are coming. Are they actually going to do this? And then obligatory, who wants to take the saddest?
Oh, the dragon. We all knew it was going to come eventually, but it doesn't make it any less painful.
Not like this.
Not like this.
Not like this.
And then they did the ultimate sin. They brought it back.
Well, Well, somebody, without any of the dragons from the books, somebody had to steal one of them to even the odds. Otherwise, it would have just been Daenerys deciding whether or not she wants to obliterate a city the entire rest of the show.
Yeah, an existential crisis.
Yeah.
An exclusively existential crisis. Now you have an existential crisis and a visceral one. I don't know what to call it, but yeah. So another case of just the ends justify the means. You knew what was happening as soon as they dragged the body of the dragon out of the water.
Yeah.
Like, I knew it after a second of seeing the chains. I'm like, oh, yeah, that's what's going to happen here. But then they spent, like, 30 seconds slowly zooming in on the dragon's eye. It's just like, you know, after a few seconds, I'm just like, come on. Yes. Who doesn't know? And they had the Night King kneel there in front of it. Just like, we know it's going to have blue eyes. We've got the blue eyes. White dragon, we get it.
He was monster reborn.
We get it. What they should have done is first of all, he's going to bring the dragon back. He doesn't have to be within eyesight that we know of. You know, what they should have done is they should have just shown us the dead dragon at the bottom of the ocean because, you know, that's something that would have sat with all of us. It's just like, you know, rest in peace. You know, you would have felt the weight of that dead dragon because we also just saw Daenerys almost cry over her children. You know, just like, oh yeah. And then if its eyes opened as a surprise, it's like, you know, and then end.
Yeah.
That's all they needed to do. There was the ends justify the means. We want this scene of the dragon opening its eyes, so we're going to bring the Night King. Like, you got lazy.
Or they could have really kept the suspense up by just showing the dragon at the bottom, but then all they show is the Night King walking and looking down at the water, and that's it.
Exactly.
Make you want, like, could he do it from there? Like, or is he just...
There were so many different things they could do, but they just want, well, we want this scene. We want this archetypal scene in the episode, so we're going to do this.
Archetypal? I don't know about that.
Yeah,
cliche.
Cliche, that's what I meant. Sorry, I don't know why I said archetypal. They wanted that, and they had abundance of them this episode, and some of them are kind of cool when done correctly. But the thing that makes those scenes special is that they're like one scene in a movie. They had 3 of these scenes in an episode. You know? Like,
to be fair, this episode was almost the length of some movies.
Almost the length of... This is the Hobbit syndrome. Like, it was almost the length of some movies. It was a little over an hour. Most movies are 2 hours, and they get one scene.
Most movies are about an hour and a half.
Let's say an hour and a half, then. Then it is one scene per 90 minutes.
I'm
3
just trying
scenes
to be
in
precise.
3 scenes in an hour and 15 minutes is less than a third of that still. You know, that is... You need an hour and a half to build up, or at least an hour to build up to the climax of that scene, what they're supposed to be. And that's why they feel so cool. They didn't have the time to properly lay out the 3 scenes. And so when you got these scenes, you know, by the time the Blue Eyes White Dragon opened its eyes, I was almost laughing. It's just like, we get it! Okay, we know what you're doing. You've done it enough. Like, if you were to cut the video, it would have been more cool to me, because then there would have been that suspense at least. You could have built up something in the future. But they just orgasmed all over the place. Like, just release everywhere.
Ooh, I thought of another thing they could have done to make it a little bit more interesting. Do, like, a back and forth between the dragon underneath and the king, the Ice King. Back and forth. And then all we see is just the dragon moving a little bit.
Yeah.
And leave it like that. Like, is it undead now, or did it come back to life and it's gonna, like, fly back? What's gonna...
Right. That I agree with you. They could have also just had them drag out the dragon and have the Night King. We don't know if he can do it to dragons. You know, there's a billion things that they could do for more implications, less implications, more suspense, more, you know, like what they were going for was like an... Oh shit!
Yeah, they were going for a cliffhanger, and instead they
is that a cliffhanger?
Pulled it up off of the cliffhanger.
Is that a cliffhanger though? Like, I think they were trying to go for this got real. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like it's like a cliffhanger is just like you see the two dragons flying into each other, and you don't know which one's going to breathe first, and you don't know what's going to happen.
Jamie falling off the horse and into the water. And
which they did almost nothing with.
Yeah.
There was no need for that.
That's how most cliffhangers work. It's just to entice you into watching the next episode. And Game of Thrones doesn't need to do that
at this point. Yeah.
But they can. It was too. What they tried to go for was not necessarily a cliffhanger, but a hey, keep watching. And they kind of botched it in that, I wasn't so upset in the way they did it nearly as much as you were.
I think we had all of the scenes at that point.
What?
Yeah, I think that was the third, big cliche, big scene moment. And it was just I just had three of them. I think
it was just that, you kind of worked yourself up into an annoyance, and at that point you were like,
Was that after Daenerys and Jon?
That was the last scene.
Yeah. So no, I was annoyed with that team incest is winning the day.
Yeah.
But at the same time, I really appreciated that scene. The feels were good. My heart melted, as they, grabbed each other's hands, and, they have an alliance now, an official alliance between a couple of my favorite characters. So many of the scenes are forgiven, and I take it oftentimes scene by scene, and until I break it down later, I give them the benefit of the doubt. They put on a heck of a show.
They're going to when they fuck.
No, they won't.
Watch as at the beginning of next episode it says sexual content or
whatever.
No! You've got 5 episodes without a single boob. It's not acceptable.
That's an ongoing joke right now for us.
They gotta pack in the whole thing. This next one.
They gotta get ready for the last season. There's one more season, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, so
but they have to make up for 5 episodes of actual content and no nudity with
Mm-hmm.
There's gonna. Oh, I see what you're saying.
This is going to be the longest episode yet. It's just going to be all nudity.
100%.
Yeah.
The final scene.
No, not the whole episode. The extra bit.
Okay, 15 minutes.
Yeah.
The final scene of Game of Thrones is just going to be 50 minutes of Jon Snow and Daenerys boning, while they know exactly what's going on between them.
I'm saying right now.
Oh, Auntie! You're my aunt. You're my aunt. That's my nephew. I don't know why his voice is deep now, but yeah. And dragons, the ones that are left, are just watching, and everyone's just clapping in the back.
Everyone's clapping?
Yeah.
They're doing it on the Iron Throne.
I will sit out that episode if that's what happens.
You will not. I will make you watch it.
I'm going to just be locked in my room, dead to the world.
Your safe space?
There is no safe spaces if that happens.
Guess what? There's going to be spoilers everywhere.
Yeah, exactly.
You won't believe what happened.
Ice and fire will combine, and it'll be steamy.
Here's 5 facts about Game of Thrones that have nothing to do with video games.
Oh, boy. Was there anything else in this episode? I think that pretty much covered it.
Let's see. What happened in King's Landing? Anything?
I don't think anything happened.
Yeah, nothing.
Yeah, did we visit there at all?
Yes, but nothing happened.
I think they spoke for a small bit, but meh.
Yeah, not worthy.
Alright, so that pretty much covers this episode of the Second Infusion. Join us next week while we punch Nick.
That's spoiler, that's not gonna happen.
Will it?
It won't.
Will it?
It won't.
Game of Thrones.
Okay, what's that have to do with anything?
It justifies everything.
No, it doesn't.
See you next week.
Bye.